So I'm given two strings S and P. So I need to return all the starting indices of P's anagrams in S, and I can return this in any order. So assuming I have C, B, A, E, okay, this is my S, and the P, which is my pattern, this is A, B, C, okay. So my first step would be to create a vector to store the frequency of each character in P. So this is my vector. So I have my A as 1, B as 1, C as 1. So what it means is basically if I need to find an anagram in S, I need to have one occurrence of A, one occurrence of B, and one occurrence of C, and I have my empty vector answer that would be returned at the end. So I initialize my I at 0 and J at 0. Okay, now I need to find my size of pattern. My size of pattern over here would be 3. Okay, so my first step, this is 0 based indices, sorry. So what my first step would be to, since I have visited C, so I have that in my anagram, possible anagram. So I delete this or reduce the count of this C from my vector. So my C goes to 0. Okay, and then I increment my J. So my J reaches this position. Now I check if J minus I plus 1 is equal to size of pattern. So 1 minus 0 plus 1 is 2, which is not equal to pattern. In that case, I do J plus plus. So my J goes here. Okay, and other thing that I do is, now since previously I have seen B, so I put this as 0. Now I have seen A, so I put this as 0, and this J gets rubbed off from here. So now my J minus I plus 1, that is size, would be 2 minus 0 plus 1, which is equal to the size of my pattern. In that case, I go and call a function, helper function, which tells me whether this over here vector has all elements 0. So over here, yeah, it says yes, all elements are 0. In that case, it will return true, and I will store my I over here. So 0 is stored in my answer. Now in this case, I increment my I, so my I moves here. And the another thing to notice is, since I lost my C, I need one C later again. So this from 0, this goes back to 1. Okay, and I also increment my J. So my J moves from here to here. Okay, and now if I would have E in my vector, this over here would go to minus 1. So again, my size of pattern is 3, since 3 minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. In that case, I'll call my helper function, and I'll ask him whether all elements are 0. He will see and say no, all elements are not 0. In that case, I will not append anything to my answer, and then I do J plus plus. So mine now J goes out of point. In that case, I would simply return, and this over here, I have developed my answer vector, and I return that. So over here, my first step would be to convert string into byte arrays for easy indexing. So I say let S is equal to S dot as bytes. Similarly, I do this thing for P as well. Okay, now I create a mutable vector called answer for storing the starting indices of all anagram. So I say let mutable answer is equal to vector new. Okay, now frequency array for 26 English letters I'll create. So I say let mutable f is equal to vector, all initialized to 0 and of size 26. Now I count the frequency of each character in pattern. So for and character in P. Okay, so what I do, I say ch minus a, and this I will do plus equal to 1. So after getting this, I'll calculate the length of the pattern, that is my window size. So I say size of pattern would be equal to p dot length. Post that, I create an iterator to the left pointer of the sliding window. So I say let mutable I is equal to 0, and for right pointer of the sliding window I do for j in 0 up till the length of s. Okay, my first step would be to include the current character into the window and then decrease its frequency. So over here I would say s of j minus a. Okay, this minus equal to 1. Post that, I will check if the window size equals the pattern length. So if my j minus I plus 1 is equal to, let me copy this thing, size of pattern, if this is true, in that case I call my helper function. Okay, I call my helper function and I send my frequency vector, and if it returns true, that is I store my starting index. So answer dot push. Okay, so if all frequencies become 0, current window is a valid anagram. So after coming out of this if loop over here, one second, let me see. Yes, so I need to remove the leftmost character from the window, since my left moves to the right, that is I is equal to I plus equal to 1. So what I do, f of, I copy this thing, let me copy this whole thing. Okay, so here I will do f of, this would be I, and I need to do plus equal to 1, since I restore its frequency count, and I do left plus equal to 1. Sorry, this is not left, this is I. Okay, and then after coming out I return my answer. Now I need to write my helper function. So what I do, I say helper function, this will take f, that is a vector of type 32, and this will return me a boolean. Now I say for x in f, if my x not equal to 0, in that case I'll simply return false, and otherwise I'll return true. Let me run this. Sorry.